Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in and we connect them with those people that can help them do it. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Chris Valdez with Horizon Consulting Partners. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I can't complain. We definitely appreciate you taking time to come on the show with us today and share with us a little bit. We understand that time is one of our most valuable resources, so we'll jump right into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, Chris.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back on the show. And I want to wish everyone on this show a happy holidays and early happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching this show and at the studios. But my name is Christopher Valdez. I founded a company called Horizon Consulting Partners in Greenville, South Carolina. And essentially, we're a group of consultants, me and two others, who help people across the country look into their options into business ownership via franchising. We have well over 500 different companies that we work with. We work with well over 30 different industries, investment levels, as low as into the $30,000 range, but really, you want to really look between that $50,000 to $200,000 range, and it can go up from there in any business. So it can be work from home, can be a brick and mortar, and it could be a full-time business. It could be semi-absent, where you hire a GM to run your business, or we have passive. Passive is where the corporation runs the entire business on your behalf. So that's a little bit about Horizon Consulting Partners. And we don't charge our clients to work with us because we get paid by the organizations we work with, who are our clients. So it's more of an informative, educational, and guided experience. As a franchise owner myself, I can kind of answer some of those questions and guide an individual to understanding what those options are. But essentially, I used to work in the medical device industry, a great industry. Healthcare is not going anywhere. And I enjoyed it for the time that I was there. But after working in corporate America for so long and, meeting those expectations from corporate executives, I wanted something more for myself. I didn't have as much control making ability and culture setting that I wanted. And, just like anybody else, like I've said in our previous podcast, that when you work for anybody, it doesn't matter who that man, woman, group of individuals may be, you trade your time for a paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with it, because I did it. I learned a lot of great skills. I had a lot of great relationships. And while business ownership isn't right for everybody, you're not going to know if it's right for you unless you learn and educate yourself. So, I took the leap and I jumped in with both feet, and I started Horizon Consulting Partners.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit, how long were you in corporate and how long have you had Horizon?
Well, that's a great question. So I was in corporate really my whole life. And so until just over 3 years ago, we formed Horizon Consulting Partners. But I was in corporate really my entire career. Now, I always had entrepreneurial. I had a group of vending machines. So I had many, many vending machines. I started off with 14, then I bought 250 all at one time, and I just started growing from there. And that was kind of like a little step into entrepreneurship without franchising. But I had to find my own locations, manage routes and products, and eventually I ended up selling it. And that was kind of like my first taste of, all right, what can I do while working for somebody else? Now that became a pretty decent side hustle, as I would call it. And it was fun because I met a lot of great people, a lot of different businesses, from manufacturing plants to fire departments to maybe an EMS or a police department to a hospital to regular small offices. I mean, it was just mechanic shops. I mean, it was just so diverse that the individuals that I met were from all walks of life. And it really knew that I've always loved people, and it made it easier. I actually had more fun going to visit those customers than I did visiting the healthcare providers at the hospitals. And I just knew at that point, not because those healthcare providers aren't great people, they're great, but they're under immense pressure. They're being told by healthcare administrators kind of how to manage their day to day. And those employees working in there, the techs, the other staff who do love their jobs, but they're pressured by the profits of corporate America. And as a vendor, I felt it highly from dealing with the purchasing groups of these companies, purchasing departments and the group purchasing organizations, where everything was about price, and patient care really went down from that perspective. Understand And that kind of gave me the validity to make that leap and move forward. But I had to look inward and make that leap. And the problem was fear and anxiety. I was used to having that stable paycheck, and the reality, there is no such thing as stability. I've worked in my time in corporate. I was downsized from an organization. I've seen people get laid off. I've seen people get let go, which I didn't think it was maybe the right decision by the company, but it is what it is. And I just figured that when I approached my holidays, which is when the layoffs would happen, at least in my industry, at least when I was around that, I didn't want to be without a job during the holidays trying to go into the new year. It just stunk to be in that position, or even having to make that decision. So now that I do my own thing and own my own franchise and I'm running my own culture, I have more flexibility, tremendous more amount of time, and I have an asset that I'm building that one day I can sell if I choose so, or I can leave it to somebody.
So it's safe to say that just your on flexibility and time and having more control of your over your situation is what helped you to burn the ship. Would that be correct?
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Okay, good deal. Now, since you've been in corporate for so long and now you have been working on your franchising business, I'm sure there are some skills that you have acquired. What are one or two of those skills that you would like to share with the entrepreneurs that are watching the show today?
Well, there's a lot of skills. It's not a one or two. First of all, when you work for corporate and you have a budget, if you're even depending on the type of role you have, maybe you don't have a budget that they give you, but you learn how to manage your finances a lot more fine-tuned and appreciate what bigger companies do provide, right? When you have an expense account and you just say the company's going to pay for it, you don't think, you just spend and swipe and expense and get reimbursed. And when you have a small business, you have to be more cognizant about generating revenue so that you can offset some of those expenses. How to really, collaborate with different employees who have different backgrounds and different upbringings, and how to deal with them to motivate them. I think it's easy to say corporate culture and get to know your staff members, but here I have to get to know my direct employees and get to know who they are, get to know what makes them tick or motivates them. And so that's probably the biggest thing with that I've learned, is that you have to relate to your employees and know what motivates them so they can buy into your goal of the mission that you have. So if you can't buy into them, they're not going to buy into you. They have to know that you care. So I think those are probably two tips. Learn how to manage your finances. If you're not good at it, get a strong accountant, CPA, and really be very meticulous about those numbers, but also don't be afraid of spending money, because you need to spend money to make money. So holding back doesn't always result in a good thing. Sometimes you need to spend that money to help make you more money. And then also get to know your staff and constantly be hiring the type of culture that the type of people that will buy into your culture as well.
Right. Sounds like teaming is a big part of what it is that you're talking about here, as far as making sure that everything is flowing and everyone is doing their part on the team. Now, share with us a story of how that has helped in your current business. Just an example so the entrepreneurs can see how being part of the team and you giving back to your teammates has helped you with some success.
Well, I'm a big believer in I don't ask anybody to do something on my team that I'm not willing to do myself. So, whether it be the franchise that I have, the Grout Medic, or at Horizon, when I'm speaking to either groups, I'm always working, but I enjoy what I do. For me, it's not work. For other people, for me, it's doing something that I enjoy doing, right? So waking up in the morning, talking about business ownership and taking control of your life is not something that's a job for me. It's something that I'm passionate and I enjoy talking about people's fears. I talk about people's fears all the time. I actually, before this podcast, talked to an individual, not to name him, who was just fear about the looming recession, right? But then you have to unpack what that really means. So, being, how it's helped me to grow my organizations. I have to be the forward leader, and then by leading through example, and they're watching me. So because of my competitive nature of always being customer oriented, being always on time to phone calls or to our customers facing that we see in person, commercial, residential customers that we see with the business that I have. It doesn't matter. You always have to be the consummate professional and always care about people, whether you agree with them or they don't agree with me. We have to respect one another and also help each other see a different perspective, because the biggest thing that people want in the service business that I'm in, people want service. The looming thing of like, you can't get a contractor, no one's on time, everyone's rude. We want to try to help change some of that perception, because, well, we've all experienced, including me, where you deal with somebody that's not good service. Is that everybody? No, I like to think that we're not one of those, but do we make mistakes? Of course, we're human beings. I mean, but can we make it right if we have made a mistake? When I talk to an individual looking into business ownership and they start giving me those reasons, I call them fears and excuses in their own mind. Because when someone tells me, well, the recession, well, I flipped that question. I was like, well, if you're scared of a recession, then you really should be looking for 2 or 3 jobs, because the corporate executives could cut you at any given point. You can't sell your job title. Your degree is not sellable. It's just a piece of paper. If you're a physician, an attorney, that's great. Those are great skills. But if the state pulled their licenses and you couldn't practice anymore, it's just a degree, right? So what are you going to do with that degree? You're an attorney by paper or a doctor by paper, but now, most attorneys don't, or physicians don't lose it, but I'm being facetious here. My point is, what are these fears that you're having? And I was like, you have to look at, in learning and franchising, you have to speak to franchise owners. The recessions during the pandemic, I started my business during the pandemic, the Grout Medic. Right. We've killed it since we started. It's been a great business. I mean, if anyone would have told me it would have been that successful, I would have bought like 3 or 4 locations, different cities. I was like, I would have never known. But I also didn't know that I was going to start it during that period of that challenging time. And I just went with it. And the franchise organization supported me. I had tremendous amount of support from the business coaches to franchise partners. And really everything they told me was just the fears that I had. What I learned was it was me. It wasn't anything. I just had to follow the processes. Yeah, there were some challenging periods, but it wasn't so challenging to where I wasn't opening up my doors. I'm sure that you guys experienced your own challenges, but finding employees is not nearly as hard as people think. Certain industries it is, but in the service industry, it hasn't been, for me at least. But other industries like hospitality, education. What people don't realize, the Gen Zs, the women were leaving the workforce, and elderly people, the baby boomers, were leaving the workforce. So those either retiring as baby boomers, or those the women or Gen Zs weren't leaving the workforce. They were just leaving those industries for better opportunities. So it's not like they're like not working at home, twiddling their thumbs, playing video games or reading book or making TikTok videos. They went to other industries to make entrepreneurs of themselves or to find a better opportunity. It just didn't happen to be in the hospitality, education, or the restaurant industry, which suffered a big defeat. Amusement parks, airline industries, people weren't traveling because of restrictions. So you have to really look at where the business sectors are moving and not always think, well, everything is shutting down, businesses don't do well. I always make the comment, we all need plumbing. We take showers, we brush our teeth, we do our other businesses, we need plumbing. We like heat, we like air. If we're going to spend money on the things that we need. There's services that we need. We don't need to go out to eat at a restaurant, a fancy restaurant. It's nice. And I hope they stay in business. Hopefully they'll cater if the economy goes otherwise, right? And service those type of customers. But grocery stores, we all need food, right? Costco's. And that's kind of how all this slide, and that's kind of what's taught me.
Okay, that's a good deal. Seems like the overall theme that you're sharing with the entrepreneurs today are finances and fears. Make sure you have your finances in order and overcome those fears of the negative things that could possibly happen. I definitely appreciate you sharing those tidbits for the entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about what the future looks like for Horizon.
Well, right now we're trying to expand and actually hire more advisors who have some type of business experience and who want to help out other people get into business. At least for me at Horizon, I don't think it's fair to talk about business if you've never ran a business. Too many consultants get into business consulting or franchise consulting, and they've never ran a business, let alone a franchise. They may have had business opportunities. They may have ran a small business, but were you really successful? Were you really scaling your model? And have you ever ran a franchise? And if so, were you successful at running a franchise? Some have. There's a very small, minute percentage. But at Horizon, we don't. I'd rather, if I'm going to grow, I'd rather grow with the type of people that have had some type of entrepreneur experience that I can help educate them into the franchise industry. They can help out future entrepreneurs and we can guide them. So at here we help not just to coach them. So if someone gets into franchising with our firm, we stick next to them after the fact. We're still on phone calls, coaching calls. We're here for any advice we can give them. We just don't disappear to thin air like many people do. It's more of a transactional. I'm a business broker. I sell you a business and poof, I'm gone, right? So we're still here just as entrepreneurs, learning from them and they're learning from us, and we're really building a community. So we'd love to have, if somebody's interested in watching this podcast, they can be work from remote anywhere around the country, and they've had some business experience and love to advise people on how to get into their own business via franchising. We're always looking to add people to our team.
Awesome. So let's just bring it back to Chris. Now, let's say you have gotten all of your advisors, you've franchised up to the max capacity. What is it that Chris would do with his time if he's already franchised everyone up?
That's a tough question because, Horizon can, Horizon is really small. It can never be too big, in my opinion. It can only be too big if the mission of what I'm doing is destroyed, if it's diluted. I don't want to have a diluted ingredient to what I'm doing. If we're not providing exceptional customer service, if I'm not guiding people, if we're not really sticking and educating, sticking next to individuals and guiding them. And for us, if someone tells me they have bad credit, I got plenty of recommendations just on my LinkedIn. I have just talked to, I got a most recent recommendation from an individual I've talked to for 3 years. Has he got into franchising? No, he's a sharp individual. And if anyone's watching this, you can look at the date of this podcast and look at my LinkedIn at Christopher Valdez and see that most recent recommendation. But I've stuck next to individuals regardless of them getting into franchising. Maybe they're just testing the water, seeing if I'm consistent. Is Chris still going to be around? Are they going to be around? Are they just talking about franchising, or are they really their mission? I think recommendations speak for themselves. But what's in it for me? I think retirement would be kind of like, it'd be boring. I have to be doing something. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't talking to people, being myself. You have to be active, but there's only so many active people throughout the day. You can only do so many clubs and gyms and golfing or knitting or cars, or you have to be doing something. So I think it have to be a balance. Life is a balance, but a balance is different for me than it is for a husband and a wife who has children. It's different for every individual. I hate to say it, kind of a workaholic, but my workaholic is I can be anywhere and like at a store and just, hey, talk about your business. And to me, that's not business. That's not working. To me, it's just, I'm having a conversation in my mind. But, travel, I enjoy travel, but I can get out there and just I can work from anywhere, we do have an office and we can talk from there, I don't have to go into the office to see anybody. I just let everyone do what they're doing. All the staff do what they do. And I just pop in when it's appropriate. But I don't know. That's a tough question for me. I think I will work until God doesn't give me the ability, or if I'm not coherent, or God forbid that I get a disease that prohibits me from being able to do what I'm doing. As long as I have health and the ability to impact people, that's what I'm passionate about, people thriving in their own regard. And let me tell you this, I was watching a video on homelessness. Corporate responsibility it's also a lot bigger than just me. It's bigger than some dumb name called Horizon. And I'm making fun of my own name. It's just a name. It's what we do for people that really impacts people. There's millions of people. I think the government spends about $6.1 billion estimated, and I'm probably off on all these numbers, but somewhere in that ballpark for homeless people or programs to nonprofits. And I think the estimated number, I think I saw a video, something on Prime that said it was like 600,000 people that were homeless. I'm sure there are millions of people that are not recorded. People right now who are freezing and are dying of heat in another country, and they're homeless, don't have hope. And I think it's our responsibility to not prejudge somebody who's on the corner of a street asking for money, saying they're probably a drug addict, maybe they're an alcoholic, maybe they're a veteran who just did have problems and they need a direction or help. They don't know what somebody's been through, or a child with their mother who's going through a difficult time. So I think you just need to be I'm passionate about human beings and seeing people do better. It's not all about the materialistic, driving the nice things, the big homes, which is all nice. And I think if you can afford that and God's blessed you in that, I think that's great. But I think you also need to be responsible socially and realize that you're just as human as anybody. And one day you have it and the next day you can lose it all.
True. That is true. So I see the entrepreneurial spirit is very strong in you. The sense of goodwill is strong, which is awesome. That is a great thing for a business leader to have, to understand that it is more than just about me or us as a company, but it is an overall thing that we need to be concerned with. Tell the people how they could get in contact with you if they do have any additional questions.
Sure. And I appreciate you asking that. So if you're watching this podcast, number one, you can call our team, which is myself, Alex Matini, and Danielle Stankiewicz at area code 864-638-1046. So that's 864-638-1046. Extension 1, you'll reach me. Extension 2, you'll reach Alex. And extension 3, you'll reach Danielle. Also, if you go to Facebook, if you go to Instagram, if you go to TikTok, if you go to YouTube and type in Horizon Consulting Partners with an S, that's Horizon Consulting Partners with an S, you'll see our logo and you should be able to find our videos on there. If you go to LinkedIn, you can connect with me personally at Christopher Valdez on the search engine. You should see my face, and then the background should say Horizon Consulting Partners. If you go to my experience and hit Horizon Consulting Partners, you can connect with our homepage and connect also with Danielle and Alex there as well. So social media, or you can visit our website at www.horizonconsultingpartners.com.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, the name of our podcast is Burn the Ship. And at one moment, you had to make the decision to burn your ship and go all in on your business. Why should the entrepreneurs that are watching today do the same?
You should do the same because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Thinking about doing something, it's really, if that's your passion, the worst thing that's going to happen is that you learn and you learn from your mistakes. It's fear of failure that keeps us all back. You won't know what impact you're going to make in somebody else's life if you don't give it a shot. But what I do recommend, if you're going to go burn your ship and go all in, is make sure you do it the right way and not just go with the dream. Don't go into a business underfunded. Don't go without processes. Just don't go with, I'm just going to shoot from the hip and hopefully this works. That's how you fail. You need to have a really clear plan and and be around a great group of people who can guide and motivate you and also steer your ship to moving in the right direction and with the processes and systems to help you to be successful, or as successful as you potentially can be. You need other entrepreneurs who've been there before you can guide you if you don't have that. I've had it, I still have it, and I continue to look up to other entrepreneurs who are way past what I've done. But the thing is, I'm passionate about my business and what I do. As long as they're passionate about what they do, they should burn their ship, jump in with both feet. And if you're married, have the buy-in from your spouse and stop letting fear and stop letting anxiety hold you back and stop looking at the darn news. The news has never brought anything good. So why look at it? Move forward, do you, and stop worrying about everyone else around you, friends, family, coworkers. You need to live your life. Had I thought that if I would have thought what other people thought about me, I would have never done this. And I wouldn't have helped out all the people we help out consistently.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I do have a segment after this one called The Last Word, but you just really gave some good words. Do you have an additional last word that you would like to share?
Well, First of all, our mission statement is helping others find freedom via the franchise industry through business ownership, right? So my last word to everyone watching this is, first of all, thank you for your time. Happy holidays to everybody whenever this episode airs. And if it's after the holidays, hey, hope everyone's having a good start to the new year. But my last word to you is search your heart, find yourself, and be the best you can and help somebody along the way.
Thank you so much for sharing this information today. Hopefully, the people that are listening can grab hold of some of those gems that you share and they can progress through their business journey. So, thank you so much for your time today. We truly do appreciate it. And we look forward to having you on as often as you like to come on. So, thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Roderick. Appreciate for having me.
All right. You have a good day. We'll talk with you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.